It's baseball and brackets in this edition of the Seacoast Sports Forum. On this edition of the Seacoast Sports Forum, Sherm Chester joined by Sam Bruno and our special guest, Roger Brown from the New Hampshire Football Report.com, New Hampshire Hardball.com, and the Union Leader. And gentlemen, we've got a little business to clean up before we get into a couple of major stories that have been breaking over the past week. Let's wrap up the winter sports season for the schoolboy and schoolgirls. Basketball, Sam, you've got those numbers and scores for us?
Yeah, in Division III, it was Guilford winning the championship there. Guilford topped Kearsarge by a score of 46-38. And in Division IV, we had Woodsville beating Concord Christian 58-49. So those are your 3 and 4 winners. And again, Sherm, we had quite a day at UNH with 4 big games in a row. We saw the girls and the boys crown championships in Division I and II.
Yeah, that was an exciting day at UNH, and glad that the kids up in the Division III and IV got their tournament over with in normal time, March Madness. Roger and I talked about that last time in the last program about how they accelerated Division I and II, but 3 and 4 just said, "Hey, we're going to do it at our pace," and they did. They just finished it off in March Madness time.
I got a chance to see that Woodsville team in the semifinals, and one thing about those small schools, and this is going to sound like I'm slamming the larger schools, and I don't mean it this way, but they play really sound basketball, because they don't have the athleticism, and they rely on precision offense, and just, I enjoy watching those teams. And I mean, Woodsville was the perfect example of that. It just looked like a bunch of guys in gym, 6-footers all playing, but they were fun to watch. Good team basketball.
The Woodsville Engineers, and I love their gym, dedicated to Dr. John Bagonzi, Red Sox pitcher and coach for many years, a legend in Woodsville. And I know he's even way back in years gone by, done a little training with my son on the baseball diamond. So that was cool to see that one. I was watching the highlights of that game. You were, Roger, at the hockey tournament. As we record this, it's all over and done with. The Exeter Blue Hawks came in 3rd place. Didn't make it to the big dance up at SNHU Arena in Manchester, but it was Concord, who was the favorite going into it, that pulled it out. So you want to give us the highlights of both the Division I and Division II and what you saw up there?
Yeah, well, Concord was much the best in their game against Bedford. They won 3-0. They didn't allow more, I don't think they allowed more than 2 goals in any game all season, Concord. So again, it was, defense got them there. Defense won them the title. And, I think most people agree they're deserving champion this year. I actually got to watch 3 games because I saw the girls. I didn't see the girls game, but the girls game was played that day in Hanover. Maybe, it was a lot of Seacoast representation, and the team they beat was a co-op from St. Thomas, Winnicott, and Dover girls team, and they won that one 5-0. And then the St. Thomas boys won the Division II title. They were undefeated, beat Portsmouth Newmarket 7-1, and it was Portsmouth Newmarket's first. I think the first time they had gone, as far as the semifinals. So it was a good season for them. They had a coaching change right before the season, and not the ending that they wanted, but still, successful season, something to be proud of there.
And I was going to say the Blue Hawks again ended up in 3rd position, but after talking to Coach Paul DiMarino, both at the beginning of the season and during the season. They knew that was their big challenge, that Concord team. And as you said, this was Concord's year, just the way it went.
Yeah. If not for a bad first period against Bedford, they might have been in the championship game. They found themselves down 3-0 and, fought hard, but, lost 3-2, just too much of a hole early. And I should mention too, that the Division III game was played Sunday at Plymouth State. And that was Berlin Gorham beat, they won that one 3-1 against Belmont Guilford.
BG versus BG.
BG, and neither one is the real BG.
Well, we wrap up the winter season, and let's move to spring. I know we flip the clocks back, up, forward. Spring ahead, fall back, right? I have to figure this out. Yeah, too much. And the microwave is still flashing the wrong one. I know it's going to be that way until next fall. Anyway, the deal is baseball is back. Negotiations were going nowhere for weeks, and then all of a sudden they just decided, hey, it's time to get down to the nitty gritty, and they got it done. So baseball is back. The infamous equipment truck snuck down from Yawkey Way down to the training camp without us knowing about it this year, because they didn't know if spring training was going to happen or when it would happen. And it is going to be a very expedited spring training for the Red Sox. Okay, baseball back. Sam, your take on what they argued about and what the results they got.
It's amazing how quickly the deal got done when players' paychecks and service time were going to stop. Once they hit that place where they were going to actually drop from 162 games to a lower number of games, which would have reduced their salaries and service time, somehow a deal got done all of a sudden. So you knew that was going to happen. It was a dance. They had to play it. They shortened spring training so the players don't have to be there so long. And the owners got what they wanted. The owners still have the upper hand in the contract negotiations. They still are able to control the players. They got the more money in the luxury tax so they can go out and spend and buy higher priced players. And so I think the owners still have the advantage in the contract negotiations. It's a 5-year deal. That's good news. So we've got 5 years of labor peace here for a while. And as we move along, there are some definite pluses for me. As you know, I am just hallelujah. I don't have to watch pitchers hit anymore. Yeah. So I'm just so happy about that. And the other big thing that came out of the negotiations that I really love is in 2023, not this year, but next year, the schedule will feature teams playing every other team at least one season. None of this 19 games against the Baltimore Orioles for the Red Sox. So I think that's a great thing for the fans, where every year they will see every team play their club. So I think that's great.
And it doesn't hurt the ticket sales either, because, it gets old when you just play certain teams a lot. This way everybody will get some exposure. But again, that doesn't start until next season, correct?
Right. 2023.
So what are they going to do this year as far as the interleague? Are they going to just pick a division?
Have the regular schedule set up the way that they had it. Okay. And again, there'll be no DH. And what they're going to do is fill in the series that they lost, either with double headers or open days. So they're still going to play 162 games.
Now, the only havoc that came out of this is that we got like a 2-week spring training, but the big thing was all the free agents that couldn't go anywhere. I know Roger's probably excited because one of the big ones went right off, and the Dodgers re-signed Clayton Kershaw, and Carlos Rodon, he's out on the West Coast with the Giants now. Anybody want to talk about some of those changes of venue for some of the new?
Well, Roger knows that Freddie Freeman's going to be a Dodger, right? You know that, right, Roger?
I'm certainly hoping that's the case. It looks that way. But
they're dancing. They're dancing around. They say that he might go to Tampa Bay. Come on, give me a break. He's going to be a Dodger. You know that.
I hope we can fit him into the lineup.
Because now that the Dodgers have to have a DH, they can give him the 6-year deal for $300 million and DH him at the end of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, I'm against the DH. I wish, simply put, and I know it's a pipe dream, I just wish pitchers could hit better. Yeah. I think if pitchers could hit better, we would have so much of the strategy, and you wouldn't have to watch a guy up there that hits a $110. I get that part of it, but
Roger, rally killers. Come on, the 8 and 9 hitters. Give me a break.
But not if they can hit. Hit. What if pitchers could hit 300, Sam? Just say, what if they could?
If I'm sitting in the stands and I'm paying $100 a ticket and I've got 2 men on and the pitcher comes up and it's an automatic out, give me a break.
But what if pitchers hit 300? What if they did? What if?
Then they wouldn't have an ERA below 3.
Well, if pitchers could hit like they do at every level, except for the pros, they get to the pros where they stop batting, I think you got the best of both worlds, I mean, I can manage in the American League, and if you're 45 and you look like me, I could play in the American League with DH. So I'm against that. I'm totally puzzled by this no shift. I don't know what the heck that's about.
What are the rules on that? Did you hear the rules?
Yeah, I think it's 2 infielders on each side of the base. And what confuses me is they said that's supposed to speed up the game. I have no idea. I don't follow the logic there whatsoever.
So you could take the second baseman and put him out as a short fielder as long as he's...
I don't even know that. Theoretically, I guess yes, but I don't know if there's any... I mean, what are we doing with baseball, first of all? Like, they couldn't... This is just a mess, but... I don't know if there's any depth requirements. Like you have to be on the dirt, or I really don't know. They're coming up with rules that just bigger bases. I don't know what the heck is going on.
Yeah, the bases thing. I couldn't figure that one out. I mean, how does that? What advantage is that? I mean,
well, you could steal more bases because it's closer.
Well, yeah. How much?
Well. Yeah, foot giant bases. It'll be like play school baseball.
T-ball.
The big bats. Yeah, exactly. The big bases.
Yeah, base stealer is a base stealer.
Baseball's got to get out of its own way. I mean, it's a struggling sport, and I love it, but boy, it's hard to defend it.
Well,
they're still going to talk about the pitch clock. I mean, that's still.
I've seen the pitch clock, at that AA, and.
What about a rule of making the batter stay in the batter's box? I mean, can that happen?
I think you could, but I mean, honestly, let's be serious. The rule that the only thing that's going to shorten the game really is commercial time.
Well, yeah,
and that ain't going to happen.
And you and I talked about that, I think, Roger, that my idea is do similar to what I know NASCAR does it, and a bunch of other sports are trying it now. You have the picture-in-picture. Your game is still on the left-hand side of the screen. Your commercial's running on the right for 60 seconds or whatever it is. The announcers back out, and then they just play the soundtrack for the commercial. That way the game can go. They don't have to stop it out for 3 minutes or whatever they do, 4 minutes in between innings, and that would speed it up.
I mean, you go to a Fisher Cats game, right? I sit there and look at that pitch clock. It rarely, if ever, comes into play. So. Right. I'm not crediting that for moving the game along. It's still a professional game with the same rules as MLB, and you can play a game in 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Right.
So what's the difference? Well, it's I got to look at those commercials for 3 minutes of whack every half inning, I think,
Yeah. Well, the other thing is you got the pitchers, the warm up between innings. I know when my son played, he'd go and say, Dad, I don't really need to throw whatever it was, 10 pitches, whatever the minimum was. The umpires wanted to throw in between innings just to kind of warm them up. I said, okay, just go out there and throw a couple, get in the groove, and then, play with your spikes. So take the dirt out of your spikes, kick your spikes or whatever, go to the rosin bag, just say to the ump, I'm ready, speed it up.
These
are
all
too.
Things that I don't disagree with you, Sherm, but these are things that you cut, 10 seconds here, 50. We're talking about 3 hour and 45-minute games. Like, you need to get rid of an hour, right. Not Johnny step in the batter's box and stay in there and save 8 seconds. I mean, they need to carve out 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there. And again, when you have the same game, not televised, they have the same number of warm-up pitches as the major leaguers do and what have you. And why can they play a reasonable amount of time and the major leaguers can't? You know, and again, I go back to, there's pretty clear to me what's going on. You know, and it's money, and I get it, but
you know, Major League Baseball, if they hadn't gotten this thing going, and I know nobody was really upset by the fact that it would start in April, a little later, who cares? I mean, a couple of weeks, no great loss. I think they started too early anyway. But the deal was that, you know, their popularity ratings tanked. And we talked about it in one of our previous shows. You can't lose any more of the youth audience. I mean, you know, they've got old timers like us that'll watch baseball, but the kids, it's just,
I don't know anybody young that watches games.
No, I don't. No, much too slow. Much too slow.
Way too slow. And
I mean, they almost have to gimmick them up with games or raffles or, you know, anything just to keep people locked in, because it's to the point now where unless you have a reason to stay, you aren't going to stay, period. You know, if I was a sponsor, I'd want to have something in the inning so that, you know, Dave O'Brien or whoever says, hey, you know, stand by, and coming up in a few minutes, if you got the lucky number, you win, whatever. Free cup of coffee from Dunks, whatever it is, just something to attract people to stay, because they are losing them. I mean, I can't sit there and watch a 3-hour game. No way. I love baseball, but I can't.
And the other thing, Sherm, is unlike other sports, like football, every game matters to a large degree. Baseball, not so much, because there's so many of them, you know, and I could see someday if they could figure out the money part of it, it's always money, you know, 100-game season, it starts May 1st, something like that, you know, somewhere down the road. But, you know, unless the salaries are going to be the same, they're not going to do it.
Now, Sam, have you heard anything through the grapevine for the Red Sox of any of this free agent talent coming our way?
Just announced today. I just joked with Roger about the Dodgers and Freddie Freeman, but supposedly the Red Sox are in on this.
Wow.
So, you know, again, would you rather have Freddie Freeman at first base than Bobby Dahlback? Yes. Okay. Okay. I think that would be about. But I don't think the Red Sox are going to commit the $300 million that Freeman wants. So I don't think that's going to happen.
Well,
the interesting thing is Carlos Correa and Xander Bogaerts. Bogaerts is a free agent after this year. Mm-hmm. So whether you have to make a decision of whether you're not going to pay Bogaerts long term or go out and get yourself another first-rate shortstop. And down the road, Rafael Devers is arbitration eligible this year and then a free agent. So he's 2 years away. So who do you want to lock up right now? Do you want to go for a Freeman? Do you want to lock up Devers? Do you want to lock up Bogaerts? Can you do both? So that's the decision that the Red Sox are facing right now.
Yeah, I think I would go the latter, the one you just said, lock up those two young guys. Freeman, you know, it would be a nice piece of the puzzle. I don't think Correa is where we're at right now, because we got some talent coming up. There's a couple, that kid they drafted last year, they say is about ready to go.
Tristan Cassis, Nick York, people like that are all waiting in the wings.
Yeah, so I mean, don't overdo it. Get you got two players that are happy here, Bogaerts and Devers. Lock them up. Get them to a contract, and you know, JD Martinez, now that this universal DH is in play, he's gone. And so that always leaves you the option of putting Rafael Devers as your DH at some point, sooner than later, probably. So you get talent in the farm. That's a good thing that's happened over the past few seasons. Let's see if they can use it to their advantage. Roger, what I wanted to do is shift gears to the schoolboy stuff, NewHampshireHardball.com. I know we've got a new coach for the Exeter Blue Hawks, Bruce Joyce. Tell us something about Bruce and what you've heard about the whole setup as far as the Seacoast baseball.
Well, Bruce, of course, was Kevin McQueen's right-hand man for a number of years. I think he was with him for all 3 state championships that Exeter won under Kevin. I think a lot of people don't know, he used to coach college baseball at Southern New Hampshire. I think it was New Hampshire College at the time. So he's got a really good baseball background. And he's one of, I should also mention that, Carson Cross, an Exeter grad, who pitched in the minors, is coaching St. Thomas Aquinas this year as well, first year coach over there. So we got, a couple coaching changes here on the Seacoast, and it should be a really strong year. Winnicott was made it to the championship game last year. They should be very strong again. Exeter will be good. And in my opinion, Portsmouth is the favorite. So, you're going to see some good baseball here on the Seacoast this spring for sure.
Now, when does the season officially kick off for the schoolboys?
Second week of April. I don't know if it's April 12th, April 13th, somewhere in there.
April 11th.
Sam,
April 11th. Almost every
go.
sport starts April 11th. Lacrosse, softball, baseball, all on April 11th.
So we'll be counting on you to keep us on top of what's happening in the state of New Hampshire, NewHampshireHardball.com. That is the place to go for schoolboy baseball news and what's happening. I don't know which way I want to go here. I guess what we'll do before we get into March Madness, let's do it. March Madness, the brackets. We were talking about it just before we started recording the program this morning. It's the time of the year that we've all waiting for college basketball. Sam, I know you're an aficionado. You probably had your bracket done the second it was announced. So
I did have my favorite teams already selected before I knew they were going to be in. So I knew who my favorite teams were already. It's just where they fit up into the regions. And I hope that they weren't all bunched up in one region. And that worked out okay. So again, for those of you who are thinking about filling out brackets this week, the tip that I'm going to give you is the tip that I always follow, is fill out your bracket from the inside out. A lot of times you go from the outside in. You start with those first round games. Don't do it that way. Look over the whole field, pick your top 6 or 8 teams and fill them into the Elite 8 and semifinals, and then work from the inside out, and then figure that way. Because if you're in some sort of a pool or a competition with your bracket, the big point games are the Final 4 games, the championship game, and the Elite 8 games. So those are the games you want to have your teams in. And those are the games you want to be participating in, because that's where you'll get your points to win your office pool or whatever you're in.
So, Roger, what's your take on what you see in the brackets? We'll start with you.
I think it's going to be a fantastic tournament because I don't, unlike last year, I don't think there's a team or two that's way above the rest. And the number of teams that I would place in the top tier, let's say, is pretty sizable. I haven't counted them up, but typically I can pick my Final 4 pretty easy, and then it gets tough. But there's probably 10 teams that, I think if they all won it, I wouldn't be shocked. Some might be a little more surprised than others, but like years ago, Kentucky was an overwhelming favorite. Last year we had Gonzaga and Baylor, and I just think it's there's a lot of strength at the top, and it's not one or two overwhelming teams, and I think that makes for a more interesting tournament.
So back to you. I'm still filling in my bracket. Sam, you've got yours filled. You got yours filled in. Go for it. Just give us an idea where you're headed.
I'm going to go by regions. We'll start in the upper. If you're looking at a bracket, you're going to look at the upper left-hand corner, and that's the Western Regional, and that has Gonzaga in it as the 1 seed and Duke as the 2 seed. So most people will have Gonzaga and Duke playing for the West Championship, but I say no to that. No.
Nay.
You can go with Gonzaga, but in that Western final, your Western final is going to be against the Red Raiders of Texas Tech. Texas Tech comes in as a 3 seed, 25-9. Texas Tech Red Raiders, one of the best defensive teams you're going to see in the tournament. And that's going to be a whale of a final in the West. Roger, what do you think about that one?
I can't argue. I have Duke against Gonzaga, but I can't say that I can go against your Texas Tech pick. Just terrific team. I think Duke has more offensive talent, but Texas Tech plays at both ends of the court, and wouldn't be surprised at all if Tech wins that game if they do face Duke. I like Gonzaga. The team I worry about on the other side beating them is Arkansas, but Arkansas has got that dreaded game against Vermont. Don't they open
Catamounts.
Maybe that's
the one opponent they probably don't want to see.
That's going to be the UMBC Virginia game, right?
Yeah, you got all these athletes from Arkansas against this Vermont. It's kind of like a Princeton Georgetown game way back for those old enough. Where one team just like my Woodsville analogy, they just play such sound basketball and cut to the basket and get easy layups and what have you. So. But I do think if Arkansas can overcome that hurdle, they don't play the smartest basketball, but, they do have a good collection of talent for sure. So I have Gonzaga and Duke, but I think Sam's nailed it with Texas Tech. They no surprise if they come out of there either.
And the only other sleeper for me in that region, Western region is the number 10 seed Davidson. Davidson, if they get hot and if they start hitting their threes from the outside, goodbye Michigan State, goodbye, and they can beat Duke if they're on that game. So Davidson is my sleeper in that situation.
Yeah, I got Davidson winning the first game and then losing to Duke, so I would agree with you there as well.
Named after that famous singer, John Davidson. Now, go ahead.
We'll go to the East region. The East region, which is below the West region on your bracket form. Certainly the favorite is Baylor, but I say to Baylor, no. Don't go with Baylor. Go with UCLA in the top of that bracket. UCLA Bruins are playing great basketball right now, and I've just got a feeling that in the bottom of that bracket, John Calipari and Kentucky, they're still going to make it. I think they dogged it down the stretch during their conference tournament. They wanted to rest Oscar Tshiebwe, who you're really going to enjoy watching for the Kentucky team. Tshiebwe is a team player who can carry an entire team. So I've got the East final being the UCLA Bruins against the Kentucky Wildcats. Roger?
I have the same. Big UCLA fan here. Of course, I didn't have them winning more than one game last year, and they almost made it to the final, so go figure. I toyed with the idea of Kentucky. I don't like Coach Cal. I saw Tshiebwe play at West Virginia. I loved him. I like this Kentucky team. UCLA has been two of their better players been injured. They're healthy now or close to it. They seem to turn it up a notch when it matters, as evident by what we saw last year. So I would say UCLA or Kentucky is going to come out of that bracket. My head probably says Kentucky, but my heart says UCLA. But either one of them, I think could come out of that region, I should say.
How about a dark horse?
Let's see here. I got to put my glasses on. I got Baylor, UCLA, and I have Purdue, Kentucky. So I don't really, I like the St. Mary's team, but I think they have a matchup problem with UCLA early on, but they're good. People don't know much about them. I saw them play Gonzaga, the game they lost, the most recent one, and they were still good in that game. I know they beat them earlier, but I don't. I know Murray State's good. I think they have a problem with Kentucky. St. Mary's would be my dark horse, I guess, if I had to pick one.
Mine is Murray State. I go along with Murray State. Murray State has good guards. They have a good big man. They've won 30 games this season. I would not sleep on Murray State. I think they can get by San Francisco, and a Murray State Kentucky is going to be an interesting game. I think that's going to be a good one in that East region. Moving over to the South, which is the top right-hand bracket. No doubt about Arizona. That's the only one seed I have going into the Final Four is Arizona. I think they are much the best team. I think they're going to win it all eventually. I think they've got all the makings of a championship team with their big man Coloco in there. I think they're just an awesome team. But in the bottom half of that bracket, I'm going to be going with Villanova. I think Villanova with Gillespie, a good solid senior guard leading that team. I think senior guard play is important in the tournament, and a team that is senior led with veterans in this day and age is a good team to move through the tournament. So I like Arizona and Villanova in that South region.
I have Arizona, Villanova as well, Sam, and I don't see anybody providing much resistance to Arizona. This is the weakest region in my mind. I don't see Arizona losing. Even, I know their point guard's out. I can't even come up with a team that might beat them. I think Arizona advances out of that region.
How about your long shot?
Well, again, I don't know who in that region qualifies as a long shot. Let me see. I guess I know a lot of people like Loyola Chicago. I saw them this year. I don't think they're as good as they were. I guess if I had to pick one, I guess I'll go with the Longwood team. Don't know too much about them. I do know they shoot almost 40% from behind the arc. And I like picking these smaller schools that are good 3-point shooting teams, when I'm looking for upset. So I guess I'll go with Longwood.
I like Longwood. My heart says Chattanooga winning on that unbelievable shot at the end at the buzzer from the almost midcourt to win their game. But they drew Illinois, and with Kofi Coburn for Illinois, I don't think Chattanooga is going to have much of a shot. But I will watch that Chattanooga Illinois game as a possible major upset there. Moving on to the Midwest bracket, toughest bracket for me. I struggle every season in the NCAA tournament over Kansas. I can never figure out Kansas. They make the tournament every year, but Bill Self's teams just don't advance in the tournament, and they get another number 1 seed here. And I just can't back Kansas. I don't think that they're going to move on. So out of that bracket, I go for the 5 seed, the Iowa Hawkeyes. They're playing great in their conference tournament. If they can keep it going, they're a very exciting, watchable team. You can really root for that Iowa team. I would like the New England team, Providence, to move along, but I just don't think they have the horses for that. So that's why I have Iowa getting to the championship game in the Midwest. And I know this one is wrong. Sometimes when you fill out brackets, you say, I know this one is not going to work out. And for me, it's Wisconsin. Johnny Davis is a very good player, could be the player of the year this year. Is he going to get hot for the playoffs and lead the Badgers? So it's just a hard play on Wisconsin. It's certainly not a statistical or I really think they're going to win it. But I've got Iowa and Wisconsin, a Big Ten final. Usually in the NCAA tournament, you don't get a Big Ten final in a regional. So I'm going to go against trends there and go with Iowa and Wisconsin.
We are on the same page again, Sam. I have Iowa coming out of that region. I'm with you on Kansas. Sometimes they look like they're the team that's going to win it all. I saw them lose on their home court by 20, I think, to Kentucky one week. So, problem with them is they don't have the depth that they've had. And, they got one or two players really. And if either one of them has an off night, I can see them losing. I saw Iowa late in the season lose to Illinois. I was very impressed. Terrific offensive team. Not great on the defensive end, but, not like last year where they were just terrible. And I have them matching up with USC, which is a bit of a dark horse for me.
Yeah.
I think USC, one of their biggest problems will be getting by Miami in the first round. And I think if they can win that one, I like them against whoever they play the rest of the way. I probably like them a little more than I should, but if they do put it together, they're a team that people aren't looking at that could go far. So to me, they're either going to be out early or make a deep run, USC. So, but I have Iowa beating USC and advancing to the Final Four.
Roger, I just wanted to ask you a quickie about any New Hampshire representation in the March Madness this year.
The biggest one we have, or the biggest name, I guess, would be Geo Baker, who plays for Rutgers, and he played for the Pinkerton team. I don't know the year, but they lost to Londonderry in the Division I championship game. He's a guard. I think it's his fifth or sixth year. I forget exactly, with the COVID extra year, how many years he's been there now, but very good player. Rutgers is in the play-in game, I believe, right, Sam? Against somebody?
Yeah, they're playing
Notre Dame, I think they have.
Yeah.
They're playing against Notre Dame, yeah.
Yeah, so he's the biggest name and a very good player. I mean, he's a big piece of that team, huge piece, actually. So if you're looking for a local angle, Rutgers would be your team.
There you go. Well, hey, that's my wife's alma mater. Go ahead, Sam.
In that final Midwest bracket, again, dark horse, I've got Iowa and Wisconsin, but dark horse in that Midwest bracket for me are the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State. They're going to play Providence in the first round. So keep an eye on that first round matchup as you fill out your brackets. Again, just think Jackrabbits all the way.
So, okay, get down to the nitty gritty. You got your Final Four. Narrow it down to the two that are going to be matching up, and then what do you think it's going to come down to score-wise? Let's commit right now. I've got mine.
I've been picking pretty much whatever Sam picks, so I'll go first so people just don't think I'm, following. I have Gonzaga beating Arizona in a matchup. The Arizona coach was a Gonzaga assistant until this year. He took the Arizona job, and I have it as 80-76 Gonzaga.
Sam,
I'm going to go with Arizona and Kentucky. I just think that. Again, Oscar Tshiebwe can be so dominant, and if he can get going and Kentucky can get some outside shooting. Kentucky in the Southeast Conference tournament did not win that tournament because teams just shut off their three-point situations because they didn't think Tshiebwe was going to have a good game inside. If Kentucky can get some three-pointers going and Tshiebwe can get something going inside, Kentucky can beat Arizona. That would be a good matchup with Tshiebwe against Koloko of Arizona with the big men there in the national championship. So let me put Kentucky against Arizona, but a real strong feeling for Texas Tech as well. If you want a real contrarian bracket, send Texas Tech to the finals.
Wow. Okay, but what's your score for Arizona over Kentucky?
It'll be a monster point game. It'll be 80-78, something like that.
Well, I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm going to say in the round of 4, April 2nd, I've tried to analyze like you guys do and take the wild card picks and all that. I'm going to keep it simple. I am going to go for the round of 4 for all number ones. Gonzaga versus Baylor in that one game, Arizona versus Kansas in the other. And then the final, I'm picking Gonzaga over Arizona, and I'm going to say it's a squeaker, 76-75. Okay, so I'm going to keep it simple. Okay. And I'm rooting for Geo and Rutgers. Like I said a few minutes ago, my wife's alma mater, so Rutgers, I hope, wins that play-in game over Notre Dame. Let's go with another big story that came up this week. 40 days away and 40 nights, and he decided, hey, I think I will go back and go for my 45th birthday as an NFL player. Tom Brady is back with the Tampa Bay Bucks. So, Roger.
Who cares? Go away, Tom Brady. Sick of you. Love you as a player. When did you turn into this prima donna? I don't want to hear about you until the season starts anymore.
You and Dan Shaughnessy agree on that
one. Bored of him. Go away.
You and Dan Shaughnessy are right on the same path there. What about you, Sam?
It's all about brand management, okay? Tom Brady is all about the TB12 brand, okay? When you do something like retire and come back, all of a sudden your brand gets all this exposure and all this publicity that can carry you all the way to July. So the TB12 brand is still out there and still strong. And that's what it's all about. He may say it's about winning championships, but it's all about the brand. TB12, the brand.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I'll buy that. I think I said it earlier. He had a year left in his contract with these guys, so he wasn't going to come back to the Patriots for a one-day contract and retire as a Patriot this season anyway. They shouldn't throw any banquets for him or big parties for him in Foxborough, because he still was under the ownership rights of the Tampa Bay Bucks. I think. Well, I'll throw this out to you guys. Do you think the fact that Aaron Rodgers stayed with Green Bay, and the big surprise, I guess, was Russell Wilson going from Seattle to Denver, did that help his decision to come back, or do you think it had any effect at all? Roger?
I have no idea, Sherm. Again, not to be rude, I could care less about the Tom Brady story. I get it. He was wonderful here. It doesn't make him interesting to me. I have no idea what's going on in the man's head. I wish he was the same guy we knew years ago. Whoops, sorry.
No problem.
The football gods are striking down on you.
Yeah. Okay. Roger, want to keep the brand going, the Roger Brown brand. Okay.
That's right. New Hampshire Football Report.com. So Sam, what about you? Do you think any of the way that the quarterback thing shook out?
I do. I think Rodgers coming back, getting that big money deal. Okay. $50 million a year for 4 years. I think Brady's competitive enough, and the TB12 brand needs to be up there. I think that had a lot to do with it, with him coming back. I was going to ask Roger about summertime football, all-star games, and coming up. Are they going to be played?
Oh yeah, we got the Chad game in June, and
where's that going?
Shrine game in was it August? I think early August. I don't have the exact date, Sam, but I can get them for next show for sure.
Okay. And we'll know who is participating from this end of the world, right? Okay.
Yep, they've already been picked, and if you're going to ask me, sure, I know you are. I'm going to pick the Dodgers to win the World Series.
Well, we haven't gone that far yet. Let's get past spring training. I mean, okay, Clayton Kershaw coming back for the Dodgers, that was a big signing. Freeman, like we were talking about earlier, that's the question mark. I wanted to ask you about Cody Morissette. Have you heard anything about? The minor leagues started on time, and he's down with the Jacksonville what was it? Jupiter Lugnuts? What is it? Yeah.
No, aren't they the shrimp boats or something like that?
Well, anyway, have you now that
the Hammerheads? No,
the Hammerheads. No, it's not the Hammerheads. Whatever.
The Jupiter something or other.
He's in Jupiter. We know that much. So anyway, Roger, if you heard anything about his future, especially now that it seems like, I think Major League Baseball teams are going to be bringing up a lot of that talent fast. So I mean, I don't see him there this year with the Miami Marlins, but there again, who knows, right?
Well, I think we do know. Yeah, not Miami this year.
Okay.
We'll know more about his career once they break camp and they assign him to, let's remember Grant Levine from Bedford was a first-round pick, and he's not out of A-ball yet, 4 years later. So it's not like we go straight to the majors very often. But then again, Cody was a college player, so he's a little older, and he should progress faster. So I guess you never rule out anything, but players don't usually make the jump from A-ball or rookie league ball to past AA in a year or two. But again, we'll wait and see where he's assigned, and let people know where he's playing, and that will allow them to follow his career. At least a lot of times in the midseason they get bumped up, so we'll find out where he's at, and you can follow him at least for half a season and take it from there.
I just looked at the Hammerhead schedule, Sherm, and they open up April 8th against Palm Beach.
And there is a team somewhere. I know there's a minor league team with the Lugnuts, but I just can't remember what state or
Lansing.
Lansing. Is it Lansing Lugnuts? That's right.
Yeah, they're Blue Jays. They got New Hampshire ties.
I'll tell you that. I was thinking of this the other night. There used to be a place, company that sold nothing but baseball caps. This was years ago. and they specialized obviously in Major League, but they also had every minor league team. And we used to love to go through that catalog and pick out some of the great logos for some of those great minor league teams. The Sand Gnats, one of my favorites was the Columbia. I had the hat here somewhere, but it's not around. But it was a Yankee team at the end, and the Columbia Bombers. And I mean, some of those logos are just fantastic. And then you got the Cleveland coming up with the Guardians. I mean, what? I mean, couldn't they come up with something better than that? I mean,
yeah, the minor leagues are much better.
Yeah, I mean, anyway, 2-minute drill time. Roger, you want to lead us off?
Yeah, well, I just we were talking about high school baseball and pro baseball, and one of the better prospects in the country is that Winnicott this year, Joe Allen, the pitcher. Just wanted to let people know, maybe when Winnicott plays Exeter or whoever, worth a trip to go see Joe pitch. You know, he's going to probably be a very, very high draft pick. He pitched for the U.S. national team last year. You know, just a terrific player. One of many superb pitchers in New Hampshire this year. Another one being Lamb Doyle from Pinkerton, who's committed to Coastal Carolina, a terrific Division I program. But there are others. Should be a terrific year of high school baseball here in New Hampshire, but the Seacoast in particular.
And NewHampshireFootballReport.com, but more importantly, NewHampshireHardball.com, if you want to keep up, and the Union Leader with Roger and his reports on what's happening in the state. Sam, 2-minute drill time.
Yes, I want to get back to basketball, and I'm just amazed at the comparison of when you're watching a March Madness game or a college basketball game in the next week or 10 days or so. Watch the college basketball game and then flip over to the NBA for a second, and your kind of your mouth will drop open, and you'll say, "Unbelievable! What a different game! How much more exciting!" And the enthusiasm and the defense, and they're playing and they care. The NBA game is just up and down entertainment. Can I do a wheeling dunk or some sort of amazing play to get the oohs and ahs? Again, the NHL and NBA, I don't even look at the standings until the playoffs start. I mean, because it just doesn't matter. And, you know, when we talk about how baseball is dying, the NHL and NBA during regular season, I think, is the same way. You just don't want to put the time in. It just doesn't. It doesn't matter. So enjoy the next 3 weeks of college basketball. It's going to be a lot of fun. And if you haven't been a college basketball fan, this is a good season to get involved, because this is just such a wide open tournament that the intensity will be there for every single game that you watch.
I did want to interrupt you just for 1 second, and just for briefly. We didn't mention the NHI. Check that, the NCAA tournament for the ladies. Who's your favorite there, or what are the teams to watch there?
I'm gonna have to defer to Sam on that one.
No, I think you want to look at You want to look at Stanford. I think Stanford's a solid team this year, and I think they're going to be the favorite to probably win it all.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to say for my 2-minute drill, thank you to the folks that are tuning into the podcast. It continues to grow. Matter of fact, one of the biggest podcasts we had over the past year or so that we've been doing them was involving last year's March Madness. And it was after the fact when we were looking at our scores and our brackets being totally torn apart, at least mine was. And I used the word redemption in it. And I think because of the logarithms, certain words, you know, people trigger off on it. That was one of the I think people thought they were going to get religion, but it was about March Madness. So anyway, thanks to all the folks that have found us on all the different platforms, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, TuneIn, all of them. Thanks, and keep listening. We try to entertain you. Baseball, we've talked about it. It's coming soon, the real deal in April. Fantasy baseball, and I know those other guys in the background going, hey, if you want to join us, the Seacoast Sports Forum Fantasy Baseball Leagues, we got a few different variations of how to score and how to win. Just email me. That'd be the easiest thing. Go Seacoast Sports Forum at yahoo.com. or shermchester@yahoo.com, and we'll set you up with one of the teams in the league. And we just do it for fun. It's just for fun. And every year we get close. I get this close to winning, and then boop, it's over. So again, thank you. That does it, gentlemen. Any last minute things?
I'm good, sure. Thank you.
All set. Just don't change that DH rule, and I'll be a happy man.
All right. Fair enough. On behalf of Sam Bruno and our special guest today, Roger Brown from the Union Leader, I'm Sherm Chester, inviting you to join us for the next edition of the Seacoast Sports Forum. Be sure to subscribe to Exeter TV on YouTube and hit the bell to get notified about new episodes of the Seacoast Sports Forum and other local content. Follow the Sports Forum team behind the scenes on our Facebook and Twitter pages, and send us your game footage and photos to our email. That's seacoastsportsforum.extv@gmail.com. This is Sherm Chester inviting you to join us for the next edition of the Seacoast Sports Forum.